as soon as you discover what your passion is, then there is, it's unleashed. I a strong longing to do something with it, and to I can even go very far. I want to leave a legacy. I before I die, I want to leave the world behind in a better way. I'm a lucky girl because I did discover my passion, and so now I'm working along my passions. So every day I do not have the feeling I'm working because I'm devoting my time to my passions. And that was 5 years ago. I felt very unhappy, and I went through a crisis. And as often happens, then you're much more receptive to your inner thoughts. And then I discovered that I had 3 main items, passions I want to go for. And that's entrepreneurship, other cultures, I just love being in other cultures, and women empowerment. I started to cry because I think, gee, who am I? You know, then that I can have meaning and for other women. But it came from very deep, and that's what fulfills me most. And then I did all kinds of things, but say a year ago I had suddenly the vision to combine those 3, and so now I devote my time to women entrepreneurs. Shout out loud the ingredients you feel attracted to. And then particularly with women, unfortunately, all around the world, I discovered that in a different way, somehow, women lack confidence. And that's being expressed on different levels. And there's a great self-judgment. And I please leave that, and do share with others your longings. And that's also what happened to me. I mean, at first, 5 years ago, I didn't dare to say, I want to empower women, and particularly in developing countries. But then I had a reason to be in New York, and suddenly I was very assertive, and I wanted to speak to all the women organizations who are there and in New York. So that's what I did. And at one point I was at UNIFEM, United Nations, their female part, and I simply had the introduction. I've been a businesswoman for 20 years, and now I want to shift my work field to empower women in developing countries. And this woman just asked me, would you consider going to Afghanistan? I said, oh, wow. She so happened to be involved in the setup of Business Council for Peace. And these were very successful American business ladies who want to help in making women economic independent in areas in the world where there had just been war or a huge conflict. And I couldn't get rid of this thought. It just stayed with me. So I went. Just impressed by the way women have this. They're so strong, and they have this longing to develop themselves and to earn some money, and that's a well-known fact. Research has shown over and over again, be it by the World Bank or IMF, to show that if women start earning money, then everybody profits, benefits. Children go to school, nutrition gets better, men profit, whole villages arise from their poorest level. Fortunately, if you're in business, then often it's not the political environment that is an obstacle. It's much more the attitude of the women themselves, and the culture and the traditions they are part of. Sometimes laws can be an obstacle. For example, by law it's not allowed for a woman to possess land, and then land is the only collateral you can take to a bank. So there's no way you can grow your business. There's no way you can get money, because a bank, you won't get a loan because you have no collateral. And that's tough. And of course there are often cultural obstacles where it's not you're not expected to go into business. I take the economic angle and very much believe in sustainability and sustainable in the way that they can earn their own money, and in that way they can just go on and forever. And in my case, I will open up markets. I will link the women in Africa, Vietnam, to women in Europe and United States and wherever, so that they can just do business together to grow their business. And if they grow their business, they need to hire more people or read women. Building this network, I first need to build credibility. So it's quality before quantity. And you can just imagine Kenya, just the awful uproar that has been, between the Kikuyus and the Luos. And if a Kenyan woman is member of this network and she delivers goods to, say, a Canadian woman, then it's of utmost importance that she performs very well. She has to deliver on time and with the quality of her products that has been agreed upon. If she doesn't do that, then it's not only that this Canadian woman doesn't want to do business with her anymore, but she also ruins it for other women, because then the self-fulfilling prophecy, hey Africa, that's not reliable. So the first women, particularly from Africa, they need to know how, they already need to have some experience in doing business internationally, because then they can pave the way for others. Then the network is ready to take up all those other women. I try to visualize, and I force myself to do that, say every month, what I want to have achieved in 5 years' time. I aim for 3,000 members. It's by invitation only. And having created 10,000 jobs. So the 3,000 members, those are all women who have their own businesses, all around the world. We live in one world. I refuse to talk about developing countries or developed countries. And they have, because their business have grown, they have hired more women. And it's not just those members. It's not just by having your own business. It's also very important, say, the stamina and the heart of these women. And that's why it's by invitation only. It should be along fair trade, say, ethical principles. And you want another woman to succeed. So I can see, this vibration, this sort of court around the world, where all these like-minded women are very happy to be part of this network. Lots of these women, start their businesses. And of course, when they are not exposed to any Western, say, design demands, they don't know how to make, products which can be sold in, say, for example, Europe. But they die to export their products. And there's no database, nowhere, where you can find women who have their own businesses. Let me give, say, 2 examples. Last month I was in Rwanda, and you have Jeanette, it's a lovely lady, and she exports baskets. It's a very typical project for Rwanda. And she exports baskets already to New York, to Macy's. And these baskets are being made by all kinds of women groups throughout the country. And as you can imagine, in these women groups, there are Tutsi women and Hutu women. And the genocide is only 14 years ago. So very often you will find a Tutsi woman whose husband has been murdered by the husband of the Hutu woman. And they realize the only way to go forward is reconciliation. And she wants to stay and live in her village. And so they will work together. And if I can make sure that she has other clients in Europe to export as baskets, just imagine, then it's not just a few women in a few villages, but there will be thousands of villages and thousands of women who can earn some money to make their living. In India, there is a lady who makes textiles, and this has been made by poor women in the province Rajasthan. And she even adjusted the logistical process to the culture of these women. For example, these women cannot leave their home, so she has no central working place, but the women can make and weave whatever they have to do at home, and then she collects all the textiles and sell them to a retail chain in New Delhi. And she has only one client abroad in Paris, and this client has 3 stores. So just imagine, if she can export all these lovely fabrics to other countries, then lots and lots of more women are being provided with more work. But also, just last week I was in Nairobi, and I met a woman who makes her business out of recycled flip-flops. Flip-flops are all those sandals African people usually wear, and they are left on the beaches. So she uses all these leftovers, all these flip-flops, and makes the most incredible products. But typical European women who deal with fabrics and accessoires, they go to Shenzhen, just above Hong Kong, because it's been made very easy for them. But then they've got a huge fair. But then they buy, say, fabrics, and they have no clue whether it has been made by children or which chemical stuff has been used in the process. So now I offer them to order the same products, say in Kenya or in Zambia or in Bolivia or wherever, and they want that for the same reason as I want that. By ordering it there, they support and contribute to better lives. It's being in contact with yourself and daring to do your own thing. And I would say in daily life, it has lots to do with reflection. Ask yourself the questions: is this what I want? Is this the way I want to lead my life? And I feel therefore, extremely happy because I've discovered my passions and organized my life accordingly. So I never work. And on the other hand, from 7 o'clock in the morning up till 12 o'clock at night, I can just go on and on and on. It's because it's so fulfilling. And we of course, spirituality, you can make, so many angles you can take. But what I would say is particularly that, once in a while, that just realize what you're doing, and is that in line with your inner drives? Well, in a way, I believe everybody wants to make a difference. We all have this sparkle in ourselves, and that can be expressed in many, many different ways. And for me, it's very, very important to lead a meaningful life, and that I can influence, have an impact in making a better world.
Poverty is not created by the poor people. There's nothing wrong with the poor people. They are as capable, as innovative, as energetic as anybody else. Simply, system never gave them a chance. Poverty in Bangladesh is declining very steadily. It declined on an average of 1% per year during the 90s. So during the 90s, we reduced 10% of the population getting out of poverty. Now, in the first 5 years of 2000, decline in poverty has doubled. It's at the rate of 2% on an average per year. If you continue a 2% decline in poverty in Bangladesh, will be one of those lucky countries, will be reaching the Millennium Development Goal #1, reducing poverty by half by 2015. When we say Microcredit Program, we have very specific things in our mind. It's a loan which goes to the poorest people, particularly poorest women, without collateral, without any guarantee, without any legal formalities, no lawyers involved in it, and the loans for income generating activity. All the foreign aid somehow has to go through the government channel. So if there is something wrong in the government, then everything goes wrong. Most of the third world countries, government is not the right place to begin. So we need to have a mechanism by which you go straight to people. You don't have to go to the government. It doesn't need to. There's an excellent way of doing that. But those things are not coming back into the aid agencies. Aid agencies are agencies which deal with government to government kind of mechanism. And that's one big barrier. And also conceptualization issues, how you do that and those kind of things. The conventional system is unfair, unjust, because they reject the people who need the money most. Also because they don't lend money to women. Even if she is a rich woman, they will not give her a loan. So when I began, I wanted to make sure in my program, half the borrowers are women. So I was going around trying to convince the women to come and join Grameen Bank. They were running away from us. No, I don't know what to do with money. I don't need money. Give it to my husband. So this was a big problem for us. It took us 6 years of continuous persuasion of the women, building confidence in them, and then finally to reach that 50-50 level. And then later we saw that money that went to family through women brought so much more benefit to the family. Women took better care of the children. Women had a longer vision. They wanted to get out of poverty faster than men. They paid a lot of attention in improvement of the households and so on. Well, I didn't want to be a bank director. I was doing what I thought needs to be done. I didn't look at what I am and look what is needed to be done. So I did. I was a professor. I was teaching in the economics department in the university. So I'm not supposed to be lending money, but that's what I did because I thought that was a problem there. I wanted to solve it, and I solved it. And that kind of sucked me into the work, and I continued to do that. People challenged me, "Whoa, you can do it in one village, but 2 villages is too big for this kind of thing." So we did it in 2 villages. Then say maybe 5 villages will be too big. So we did it over 5 villages to show that it can be done. Now we have done it over the whole country, and still people say, microcredit can work. For some people, may not be able to do it. So people always come up with some explanation. Repeatedly, we are showing, demonstrating that these are all imagination, which is not based on the real situation. So this is the way we went, and now today it's a global phenomenon. Microcredit is everywhere in every single country in the world. The Grameen idea spread in America and Europe a long time back. It started with Governor Bill Clinton inviting me to come to Arkansas, start a Grameen program there, which we did. And then after that, there are lots of Grameen program in the USA. But we never did it ourselves from the Grameen Bank from Bangladesh to go and operate there. And this time we are doing that. We are creating Grameen America as a company through Grameen Trust. This will be owned by Grameen Trust in Bangladesh. The idea is there are certain problems in the US economy, in the financial sector, which nobody pays attention to. For example, there are millions of people in the USA who cannot have a bank account because they are too small in the eyes of the conventional banks, so they can't open a bank account in those banks. So if they receive a check from their employer, when they receive a check from the employer, they cannot get it cashed. So there's a new group of companies all over the USA called check cashing companies. So you have to take this check to the check cashing companies and they rip you off. They charge so high for an unnecessary reason. So that's one kind of loan sharking mechanism. And there are many, many companies call themselves Payday Loans. If you ran out of your money during the month, you got your salary, you don't have the money to fix your car in the middle of the month, so you go to the payday loan people. And they charge you enormous amount of interest, 50%, 60%. Sometimes I'm told that it's as high as 1,500% interest on those loans. So this is a crazy thing to happen in the United States. So we thought, why don't we start a program to address those things so that people can have bank account, they can have $1,000 check and bring them $1,000, and if they need a payday, if they need a loan in the middle of the month, they get a loan. It's a reasonable cost, just like any other loans for anybody else. And don't need to have like pawn shops. All over the USA is a big companies called pawn shops. This is also shows the gap in the financial system. So we want to address that. So this is why we went there and see how far we can go. There are lots of legal problems, lots of problems with the way organization like ours can work. But, poverty is not created by the poor people. There's nothing wrong with the poor people. They are as capable, as innovative, as energetic as anybody else. Simply, system never gave them a chance. So the institutions never gave them a chance. Our concepts are wrong, so we need to redesign our concept. So I focused on the concept of business. I said the very concept of business is not adequate, because today in the capitalist structure of the economy, the business means business to make money. The making money could be a means. It cannot be an end by itself, but somehow today we create it as if it is the end. We make money, we don't know why. So I said the true thing would be, here is we make money in profit-making money, businesses, and then use the money to do good and go to the social business. This is the end. So the means and ends. We have a company called Grameen Company which produces yogurt for addressing the malnutrition of the children. There are millions of children in Bangladesh suffering from malnutrition. So we bring all the micronutrients which is missing and put it in the yogurt and make it very cheap so that even the poorest child can afford it. The bottom line of the company is not how much money you're making. Bottom line of the company is how much children are getting to the health.
The positive power in the world is to unite people. The negative is to find differences and create conflicts. So, while conflicts are happening in many parts of the world, we need forces which wants to unite people. Whenever there is a need for a social responsibility or action, Art of Living is right there. There was war in Lebanon, Art of Living was right there to help people. And when there was 9/11 in New York, Art of Living was right there to help the firemen, to help the police, to help the people there. Same with floods and tsunami and in all these situations, there is that compassion in the heart of people which needs a direction, which needs a little kindling, and that happens with Art of Living. The positive power in the world is to unite people. The negative is to find differences and create conflicts. So, while conflicts are happening in many parts of the world, We need forces which wants to unite people, all join hands together and work. There's a humongous task in front of us. Respect each other, their ways, their culture, their traditions, and their ideologies. Respect for each other is a basic tenet. I think it's all basic human values. Keeping aside the differences, we all agree on few principles of non-violence, love, cooperation, compassion. These values can bind people, unite them, and then the differences will simply dissolve. Yes, I'm sure the good will win, will trump always, and the truth will always trump. And as you correctly said, in a few years' time from now, the power of good will grow more and more, and people will become more compassionate, more spiritual, as to say. Their attitudes will be different. It's already becoming different. Yeah, aggression and terrorism, and anger and riots and violences, these are happening as well, but I think that will go down. Everyone should know they have a part to contribute towards world peace. No one can sit and say, this is not my job, someone else will do it. In India, we have a saying that even squirrel can contribute something. We call it the squirrel's contribution in building a bridge. So everyone, whatever they can do, they should do towards social well-being. A dialogue is possible only when you have people of differences come together. And I feel it is necessary to bring people of diverse nature together. That is the sign of our success. No point in having like-minded people sharing the same stage and talking the same thing. We should have people who completely disagree with each other, or different ideology or point of views, and if they all come together, then we build a culture of dialogue, and which is sign of good civilization. We need to keep putting hope and positive thinking in people's mind. Otherwise, when they keep reading the whole negative things and all the problems in the world all the time, they get more depressed, and if they are more depressed, there is nothing they would like to do to get out of it. With globalization, what is happening is that richer nations can become more richer, and the poorer can become more poorer. So this possibility is there. But these things, the leaders will have to keep in mind that it's a collective growth of everybody, collective good of everybody. That can be the answer. So we have to think on that broader social responsibility, that the developed countries have responsibility to develop the undeveloped countries as well. And the underdeveloped countries should get out of the paranoia of being ruled and being misused, rather than open their doors and welcome the developed countries. So there need to be a give and take principle, which is mutually good both. And this aspect one has to highlight more in globalization. So as I said, globalizing things which are more beneficial, which would boost the economy, make the poor rich and the rich also rich, should be the policy. Otherwise, globalization will keep the poor poor and the rich unrich. It's not going to help. It should be a win-win situation. The secret is very open. It said, Art of Living says, smile and serve and know yourself.